This emotional reunion between a lion and the men who raised him has become a YouTube sensation and touched the hearts of millions.
It was just an incredible reunion. Whether we were human or he was animal was sort of irrelevant.
It has to be the kind of ultimate moment of life with Christian, really.
You've only got to see that embrace. You can't describe it in any other way. It's an embrace of love.
This extraordinary bond was first formed in 60s London when two friends bought a lion cub.
He just adored them. It's the way he looked at them. You can see the love in his eyes.
And it endured even after they released him to fight for acceptance in an African pride.
We thought he could be killed.
It was a chapter in Christian's life that saw his deadly rival become his greatest friend. This is the untold story of Christian, the lion cub from Harrods. London, 1969, the music, fashion and youth culture centre of the world. King's Road, in the hippest part of London, was a magnet for artists and travellers keen to take part in the city's hedonistic lifestyle. It was here that university friends John Rendell and Ace Burke came from Australia to make their mark.
Well, it was a well-worn path, in fact. It was like a rite of passage.
And Australians headed for London. It was the Mecca. It was where everything was happening. It was the exciting, swinging London.
It was just a marvellous time to be there. We did know a lot of quite well-known people.
The Rolling Stones, we would see them driving up and down the King's Road. This was a fantastic time to be in London.
As well as partying with rock stars and actors, the newly arrived Australians took a trip to see Harrods, the world-famous Knightsbridge store that even had its own zoo department.
Pure Brazilian tapir, vultures, fruit bats, raccoons. People would say that you could get anything from Harrods, from a pin to an elephant. And we did actually get an elephant for somebody at one time.
Yes. Hand-reared cubs, of course, because these are so very much tamer.
In November 1969, Harrods put two lion cubs on sale, Marta, a lioness, and Marcus, who would be renamed Christian. The cubs came from Ilfracombe Zoo in Devon, the fifth generation of their family to be born in captivity.
It was an absolutely astounding moment to just look and see these two beautiful creatures for sale.
Christian was just full of personality, and he was so irresistible.
And we just kind of looked at each other and said, right, we're going to buy him.
In the 60s, keeping exotic animals as pets was popular and perfectly legal. It was not until 1976 that the Endangered Species Act, a law restricting their sale, came into force. Harrods interviewed all potential buyers to ensure that the lion cubs went to responsible owners.
John asked all the right questions, wanted to know what the pitfalls would be, and always felt that they would do the best for Christian anyway.
Ace and John passed the Harrods test and bought Christian for 250 guineas, the equivalent of $7,500 today. Neither one had any experience of big cats.
The reaction to us buying Christian was probably universally, you've both gone mad, and it's quite dangerous, and you're stupid, and it'll end in tears.
It did not seem to be such an absurd idea because London in the 60s was swinging. People were doing all kinds of extraordinary things.
Their first problem was where to keep their boisterous new pet. Both worked as salesmen at Sophisticat, a shop selling restored pine furniture in the King's Road, and lived in the flat above. They persuaded the owners to let Christian have the run of the shop's large basement.
He had a huge kitty litter tray, which he used religiously, like a domestic cat. There was some furniture stored down there that was going to be restored, and so that he could climb on and hide under or creep around and play hide and seek.
He was very imaginative. He was very good at making up games. He could stalk around the furniture of Sophisticat and make it look like you were hiding from him. So then he had the freedom to run at you. He loved toys, but he'd shred a teddy bear in 2 seconds flat. He loved waste paper baskets, and you could chew it, shred it, wear it on your head.
Even the cleaner, who came in every day, had her cleaning equipment treated like toys.
He thought she was there just as a kind of cabaret, because she had dusters and mops and vacuum cleaners and things.
So he would put his paws on the front of the carpet sweeper and we'd play push-pull, and then he'd steal my dusters and stuff like that. It was great fun.
She wasn't frightened of him at all. I mean, not in the slightest.
And of course my children used to go back to school and say, don't mess with us because our mum looks after a lion.
Christian was not restricted to the shop for his entertainment. Ace and John often took him out to visit friends.
The girlfriends that we'd left Australia with had a big flat in Queensgate. He knew the flat, so he was just padding around, and he decided to just walk through the flat, walked down and pushed his way into the bathroom where Robbie was in the bath.
And in pads, Christian puts his hands up on the side of the bath and starts drinking the bath water. Well, I'm sort of waving and thinking it's better to be friends. Then I thought, well, if he runs out of water, he might get hungry, so I got particularly nervous. Anyway, with a lot of screaming and everything, John eventually came and got him out of the bathroom, but I was pretty scared.
As Christian grew bigger, so did the challenges of raising an African lion in a city. At 6 months old, he was already devouring 3 kilos of meat a day.
Lions, certainly in the wild, are large animals. An adult male lion can grow to about 250 kilograms. And in order to maintain a body of that size, you do need to eat lots, and you do need to eat fairly regularly. They'll bring down something like a wildebeest, and the pride will feed on that, and they will really stuff themselves. They eat until you see hugely extended stomachs.
Wildebeest wasn't an option in Chelsea, but friends and admirers rallied round to help satisfy Christian's growing appetite.
There was a chef from a nearby restaurant who brought him fabulous meat that we had rather had our eye on, very nice steaks that just hadn't been used that day, and very big bones.
It was an expense to keep him, so we thought, what can we do? So we met a photographer called Derek Catani, who was a friend of a friend, and he came along and started a record of Christian's life in London.
And so I said, well, let's get together a couple of feature ideas. And I said, well, Easter's coming up now. Let's think about something to do with Easter and Easter chicks. It was an amazing situation because we thought that a great big paw was going to come down on this poor little chick, and that was the end of the day old chick. But none of it. He was so gentle.
I think we got £30 for the photograph, which was very good.
And they decided he had to have a bank account, so we took him up to our bank, and our bank manager opened an account for him so he could put his money in.
Paying Christian's meat bill wasn't the only challenge. A growing lion needs serious exercise. But Ace and John knew that letting him loose in the leafy parks of Chelsea could cause a riot. At the end of King's Road, they discovered a walled cemetery attached to the Moravian church. It would make the perfect exercise enclosure for Christian. Ace and John managed to persuade Reverend Williamson, the church minister, to let them exercise Christian in his cemetery.
My father had a wicked sense of humour of having a lion exercising over graveyards of Christians. On the other hand, he was also a great naturalist, and he would have recognised a real need to let the lion have some freedom rather than being cooped up in a shop or a house.